begin. We'll connect to our Ujjayi breath. And finding how that breath supports our posture, our alignment. Breath is an integral player in how we feel at rest, in integrity. So that's the alignment part. It's finding our integrity through ease and softness. So just take a few moments to find those qualities in our seated posture. So somehow these postures can be worked in a way where ease is discoverable. The striving or particular efforts can be mitigated. And the effort can be so subtle. It can be as subtle as almost the notion of clamping down around a shoulder or a neck. So feel for softening the shoulders down. And maybe for you, and allowing the shoulders to expand or move, you might feel there's a little more lateral, we'll say drift. Just feel how the body starts to drift and soften and settle. So let's begin some pranayama. Let's work on alternate nostril breathing. Let's go 10, 15. So in through one side, 10, and out the other 15. So right now the hold is 0. Allow it to flex and flow, the count. So this is a 2 to 3 ratio. Just give it one or two more rounds. I'll get us straightened away on our connection. And here we are. Let's start up a seated spinal twist. We good? I think we did it. Okay. We're nimble. A half lotus seated spinal twist. We'll set right over left. Inhaling, expand the ribs out to the horizon. Feel the pelvis sinking down, the skull bones floating up. Exhale, turning to our right. It's a wonderful place to practice how the exhale can help escort the ribs down while still telescoping the spine up. So I want to make a distinction that as the crown and the spine expand toward the sky, vertically rather, the muscles of expiration can assist in a fully massage moving the chest bones downward. Just takes a little cleverness to delineate the muscles of expiration from those other postural and supportive ways that we stay attuned to our spine. So let's inhale, let's unwind. We'll switch the cross of our legs and we'll switch sides. So with the feet active, just protective of the knee, inhaling. And on exhale, we'll turn to our left. Our left leg is atop our right. In this way, breath itself moves, glides, stimulates all these little segments of our spine, our joints. And that stimulus is more than just like moving arbitrarily bones and joints, but it's stimulating all that substance that promotes discovering ourselves in space, renewing and revivifying those fluids and signals, the chemistry of life, the structure and the chemistry of aliveness. Let's release. Inhale, unwind. And when we lie on our back, to do elbow to knee. I think we've learned some ways that we can adjust our elbow to knee to create some, crossover learning into other poses. When we stretch our leg out, which we'll do here as we inhale, the head and the shoulder blades up, curling tailbone, and exhale the left leg out. Reach the elbows toward the right thigh. Keep leaning and reaching just until you start to feel that little rocking or almost rolling of the body, and just pause right there. Reach through that inner left leg, pull low belly down. Inhale, bend left knee, curl tailbone, and now exhale, straighten the right leg out. Turn the elbows toward the left thigh. And as you turn, feel for when that almost rocking or rolling off to the side occurs, and pause right on that. Reach to the inner right leg more. Pull low belly down. Inhale, bend the right knee, coming back to center. Curl tailbone. Exhale, reach out through the left leg. Turn the sternum, the elbows toward the right thigh. Feeling for that almost rolling moment. Get right on that perturbation instance. Reach through that inner left leg. Pull low belly down. Inhale, come back to center. Curling tailbone. Exhale as the right leg reaches out. elbows lead toward that left thigh, and actually hunt for that tiny little perturbation point. Pull lower belly down. Inhale, come back to center. Let's do 2 or 3 more per side. So actually hunting for that instance where we're no longer just flat on our back. There's an almost rolling and a response. There's a response in there. You know how much I love having little tells and reads in our body that let us kind of remember how our nervous system, how our learning body is responding to situation. So we're creating these conditions to check, to learn, to see. And that requires us getting off of our shoulder blades. So we're actually making our back body a little bit round. We are kind of, I know we lay our 4 points out on the ground to try to make stable. I'm saying round up and hunt for those little rocking places and read them. Get really responsive. There you go. But it takes lifting those shoulder blades off the ground to get to that rolling feature that can be found in these abdominals, a hollow position. All right, set that down. And just for fun, we're going to do, I guess technically it's an abdominal in the sense of it's a spinal move. We're going to do side lying with a block. So the point of the block is for my inner ankles, inner edges of feet. Then you'll have to decide if there's something else you need in place under the side of your head or neck. I'm going to put my head on my arm. That's okay for me. And with this one, we are going to create a little squeezing motion. Because I'm squeezing the block with my inner ankles, my feet really aren't available to hold the ground. I'm also taking my top hand away from the ground. I guess I should say I'm not using my bottom hand either. So this is, again, a little game of breathe and be just to let the responsiveness occur. The squeeze isn't a big one. And if we're in a deep Ujjayi breath, there will be a lot of perturbation. Remember, our Ujjayi breath can be super dynamic. And so the ribs and the spine and the lungs and the organs, they're getting moved about. And just 1 or 2 more breaths. All right, let's switch sides. So if you were trying to learn what stabilizers do, those fast little responding muscle movements in the body, this is a fun way to get a sense of those. They're so different than the muscles of like bracing and powerful movements. And just a little squeeze between the ankles just keeps that bottom foot off the ground. Man, that should be plenty good. Let's turn onto our hands and knees. And exhaling, downward dog. Now starting to stretch the breath into the upper chest, upper back bones. With your exhale, press with constancy through the arms and the shoulders as those muscles of expiration gather the ribs down, 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 down away from the armpit and the shoulder joint. In this way, expiration, intelligent, precise expiration, becomes a chest opening and a shoulder opening move. Skillful breath is an incredible foundation for opening the body, the joints. Open up the sensing pathways, and then the motor, the movement, the choiceful movement can go there. All right. Inhale, let's step our right foot forward, setting the left knee down. And we're setting up a lunge with our hands on the ground and our back toes curled under. You might have to walk that foot back a little bit. And on exhale, take the knee off the ground, the heel reach back. We're going to move to twisting extended warrior. So we pivot and plant that left heel toward at the ground. Taking left hand, move it to the outside of your right foot. Now, I scooped up a block. You might want that. And we'll attempt to get this armpit crossed over the thigh, but if it can't, it can cross over the shin. That will be okay. Right arm reaching overhead. Okay. I'm just going to kind of take us through a little tour of just, kind of how my brain might use some of these poses in sequence. So between that left leg and that right arm, to me, is a side lying position. There's an exquisite, responsive, balanced length of body on an axis, some kind of an axis, a spine, a core axis. So stretching out that left leg, gathering the legs in toward the middle. That right palm, right inner arm, hugging down on its, we'll say, midline. Try to flesh out that odd phrase a bit more. And then inhale, let's unwind. Set the hands under the shoulders. Exhale, step back. And from plank, gathering up the knee, I almost said knees, inner legs, we'll lower all the way down. Set hands forward. Continuing that inner leg, gather, inhale, lengthen the top of the torso away from the lower torso. We just happen to be arcing it up. Exhale, lower down, downward dog, hands under chest. Press back. 2 moves. On the other side, lunge to start. Inhale, left foot forward. We'll keep the right knee up. We'll keep the right heel up. And for the meanwhile, let's keep the hands on the ground. Now, feel for lengthening the ribs away from your right heel. So as long and as stretched out as we often do get through the leg, the lower limb, my observation is we'll often kind of cluster down the chest toward the diaphragm into the abdomen, almost like we're doing a little impaction through our torso. You don't have to stretch it out, but just get a sense of that expansion or that impaction. Okay. And now for that twisting, extended warrior, we'll take that right hand, cross it around the left, I should say the outer left foot, as we pivot the right heel to the ground. Perfect. And that left arm reach overhead. Inhaling, unwind. Hands under shoulders. Exhale, we'll step the left foot back from plank. Gather up those inner legs. That plank is a hollow position. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, lower down, downward dog. So we're going to practice this half hollow position right here in downward dog. And by half, I mean we're going to raise one leg up. So let's start with that left leg, raising it. So the foot, the hip, the shoulder, you got it. Create this vibrant line of integrity and with your intelligent expiration, as you're exhaling, you're gathering the ribs down as you push through the arms. Press as that inner left leg hunts, reaches for a little more distance, space. Okay, we'll set the left foot down and let's exchange. Right foot gets to take a ride. It's a handstand on the right side of the body, just on an angle. So when we did all those sweet little moves to feel the tailbone lengthening away from the skull, that can apply here. So if you're using this to practice, say, a handstand, right here, how does that tailbone scooch back in space, lengthening the low back and kind of finding that hollow place, that fully expired, arms reaching overhead. We'll set that foot down. And then inhale, just step the feet forward. We'll make a transition moment to a wall. Hopefully you have a little section of wall. And we'll repeat downward dog, one leg up on the wall. And with this one, I want you to be aware that by adjusting your hand distance from the wall, you can make this more of a hand balancing or more of a downward dog. And just to give you a picture sense, this is my downward dog, and that might be perfectly fine to put my foot up and practice and I'm more completely exhaling the ribs down, stretching the arms up. Okay? Or if I walk my hands a little further back, I'm just kind of shaking my right foot here because it's come off the ground. I let it come off the ground. In this way, my left side of the body is practicing handstand. And I'm just letting my right heel kind of float off the ground and it's resting on the wall. So just depending on your setup, you can practice more weight-bearing handstand or more just positional information in downward dog. If that makes good sense, carry forth. I'll give us an approximate halftime, time to switch legs, because these are single leg practices. And I'll watch and see what's up. And if you cook up an entirely different version for yourself, perfect. There you go. Cool. I see the new movements occurring in your back. Good. So 3, 4, 5 breaths on one side, just making sure if you need a hand rest, just step down. If you want to switch directly over to the other side, it's a good time. And that consistent press through the arms with each and every exhale. There you go. There it is. Cool. There you go. That's it. That's it. I'm just watching especially the low back motion because that's what I can see, and it seems to be changing. Good. Good, so we'll let that amount of wall work just rest. And we can move back away from the wall and just create some wrist relief moments. I'll recommend, let's step our left foot forward into a warrior 2. And we'll interlace hands behind back. We'll stay upright for this chest opener. So interlacing, and you can decide how much to pinch the fingers into each other, tightening their little friction connection. And inhaling, lift through the chest, the front of the chest. And exhaling, be precise with your release. So you can release somewhat through the digits, joints. You can selectively release through the wrists. And as we have the interlace on this side, I want you to take note how you've interlaced. Like, is your left index finger over your right, or is your right index finger over your left? Because we'll just make sure to do the other side on the other side. But first, let me say this with a little more space. Extended warrior. Thank you. Inhale the left hand down to the ground or block, and the right arm reaching over. Okay. So now, just for fun, it's just a more kind of a cognitive exercise. The right side of your body, if you're wanting to practice it as handstand, the right side of your body is doing handstand. Okay. So we learned a lot of position to feel for, to hunt for, right? So create this rich, rich mapping even when we're not on our hands practicing the weight bearing or the balancing of handstand. There's still a lot going on through the ribs and the pelvic orientation. Inhale, we'll bring right hand down to ground. Exhale, chaturanga. Making sure your hands and your fingertips articulate on the ground. Upward dog. Inhale. And exhale, downward dog. And we pause here in downward dog. Spread open the hands and kind of mold and gather the mat like it's clay. Just give the hand a little muscle work into the mat like you're molding a big giant ball of clay. And finding that little dome of the hand Can you feel the little space, the little scalloped cave of space between your palm and the ground? All right, inhale the right foot forward, warrior two. And we're interlacing our hands the other way behind our back for chest opener. So if you did it left finger over right, now do a right index over left, or hop, just do them both ways. They do exert slightly different pulls on the shoulder, don't they? You can feel that. You can selectively release through the digit joints. You can selectively release through the wrist, through the elbow. Now let's let the hands go. Extended warrior. So we'll exhale the right hand down, the left arm overhead. Ensure the left foot is turned inwardly. Part of that inward turn of the foot will help you get that internal turn of the leg. And that outward reach through the heel will help you draw the tailbone down toward the back foot. So much of all this turning and spiraling and torsioning of the body can start just in simple foot orientation, friction, the way the foot molds the ground or is atop the ground. You can start to feel that connection of the left foot to the ground, or you can use the earth to interact with the earth to change and alter your posture. Inhale the left hand down to the ground, exhaling chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. And exhaling, downward dog. Softly set knees down. We'll have a seat and we'll be doing a lying fold. I consider this in two ways. And the ways are based off of what you need for your sacrum or your back. The first way is leaving the pelvis on the ground and folding the legs like at the hip socket area toward the chest. The other way is just letting the whole sacrum and spine roll up as they will. And you can either bring the legs toward the chest or even the toes toward the ground. As we get into these To me, can be a deep fold. Feel that the back of the neck can soften. Any tension, guarding tension around the base of the skull can start to release. And we'll release out of fold and set up for Shavasana. If you want to rest with the feet up or the feet on blocks, knees bent, these are all nice things. And once your body finds a rest position, allow your breath to just change in whatever way it needs to. Sometimes we need those big reset breaths, like the big in and outs. Sometimes our breath will just effortlessly soften. Just allow your breath to change. So it doesn't have to conform to any structure, any count, any technique. Now, in allowing our breath to exit the constraint of Ujjayi breath, there's still a choice to make. The breath can move toward our default, our most habituated way of breathing. Or we can continue to explore the vastness of each breath. But this requires little effort. It's not a technique of deep breath. It's more of I allow my mind and my sensing, my listening field, to be larger than my conditioned or default or my habituated way of coming to rest. And even if that broad and vast listening field includes those walking around us, as the postures help our physical body become more flexible, expansive, and choiceful, so too our subtle body, kind of the largeness, the contractedness, and how we cultivate our subtle body, our life force energy, our biofield, our magnetic field, right? And so too our listening, our mind, how broadly we set it out, how conformed to subject matter we tend to gravitate. Just a broad listening field. And now, when you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side, watching all the critters as they have gathered. Namaste.